The Upper Barraca Gardens is a place of tranquility below the Auberge de Castille et Leon, presenting an exceptional view of the Grand Harbour and the three cities of Vittoriosa, Conspicua and Sanglia. It lends itself to quiet soliloquy, as well as providing the messing facilities for the inevitable pigeons. The bustling scene of Merchant Street provides the location for numerous items of merchandise. The variety of articles on sale would attract even the odd inebriate, perhaps. The Knights of the Order of St. John would best be described as a multinational force divided into langues or tons, and were Auvergne, Provence, France, Aragon, Castile, England, Germany and Italy. Each had its own auberge or headquarters. The Auberge de Castille et Leon and Portugal is the largest and probably the finest of all the auberges, built in 1574 by Girolamo Cassar. The ubiquitous British red mailbox also tends to be a welcoming sight in the islands. Imperial Square is graced historically and by charming cafes. The unique award from the United Kingdom of the George Cross by King George VI to the incredibly courageous Maltese people for their undefeated stand in World War II is commemorated in this plaque. The 16th century palace of the Grand Masters, Il Palazzo, and Armoury, the two main portals, are Baroque and imposing. Within the palace, the larger of the two courtyards is Neptune's courtyard. The courtyard is surrounded by a loggiato, which is a true masterpiece of the Mediterranean mason's skill. Neptune's statue was placed here early in the 19th century. It is reputed to be adapted from an original by John de Boulogne, circa 1524 to 1608. The Palace Armoury holds an impressive display of various makes and styles of armour: Italian, French, German, Hungarian, Polish, English, Maltese and Turkish. Swords, rapiers, shields, halberds, pikes, arquebuses, cannon and much more lie here for arming warriors, long gone and may now serve to point morals and adorn tales. A backplate, Italian, circa 1580. A coudre, French, finely etched, circa 1600. Armour paraded by Knights of Malta, frozen in time, stilled now for centuries. Saracenic shield and armour, imagine 10,000 burnished and glinting gold in the glare of a brilliant sun. Prince Albert's courtyard, named after a son of Queen Victoria, features Pinto's clock, which has 4 faces showing time, day, month, and the phases of the moon. The conventual church of the Order of St. John, consecrated on the 20th of February 1578, was conceived by Grand Master Jean de la Cassière and was designed by the Maltese architect Girolamo Casal. The interior is stunning in the fullness and richness of its decoration. The work of Matteo Preti, a Knight of Grace, and produced at the height of his career at the summit of Baroque decorators. The floor consists of some 400 marble armorial panels. Prete also provided the drawings from which the sculptural reliefs heavily carved into the stone panels of the columns lining the nave were made. The entire vault is painted with the cycle of the life of St. John the Baptist. Concern for the job. I suspect the latter. Sleeves rolled up is one thing, but shoes off and jeans rolled up is another. Elsewhere, unnamed men wouldn't move unless waterproofed from head to toe.
Rid of the world's injustice and his pain, he rests beneath God's veil of blue. Taken from life when life and love were new, youngest of martyrs, here is lain. Fair as Sebastian and as early slain, no cypress shades his grave, no funeral yew, but gentle flowers weeping with the dew weave on his bones an ever-blossoming chain. O proudest heart that gave its all, O sweetest lips since those of Mitylene, O soldier of our English land, thy name is writ in stone, it shall stand, and tears like mine will keep thy memory green as Isabella did her basil tree.
Takali no longer reverberates to the roar of engines, but to quieter skills. The glassworks and the colourful glassware produced under the trade name Medina is one such craft. From the furnaces and the hands of the skilled craftsmen, like magical creations, appear many varied and colourful artifacts. Worthwhile, decorative, useful and affordable, these items would grace any home. Scala Harbour is a long, narrowish anchorage which, under certain conditions, can provide the unwary pedestrian with very wet feet whilst traversing the inland end. Friendly shops line the harbour, tending to reflect provision for local inhabitants. The language is different, but the chat and play of young children is similar the world over. Maltese children, however, benefit greatly from caring and respectful family ties. Medina, ancient medieval capital city of Malta. The site was originally settled about 1500 BC. The main gate, erected in 1724, replaced the earlier drawbridge, now walled up. The martial arms with triumphal symbols, together with the arms of this ancient city and those of Grand Master di Vellina. The medieval streets are interestingly narrow. Some suddenly opening into squares are typical of South Mediterranean planning, trapping cool shade in summer, cutting wind force and easily defended. The present cathedral, erected after the earthquake of 1693, was designed by Lorenzo Gaffa. It is one of the finest examples of Baroque architecture in Malta. Originally, the site was the Palace of Publius, the Roman who welcomed St. Paul to Malta. Medina, the name from the Arabic Madinah, meaning the city, occupies an excellent defensive position. The site was originally settled probably by the Borg Nadir people. Over the centuries, carved graffiti on these walls becomes a living historical record. By the gate under the Vellina Palace are the medieval dungeons. Unbelievable horrors were practiced here, in these dim, secret cells and passages. Stark drama and mystery exists from dark and almost forgotten days. The physician, Joseph or Matucalus, hanged as an agitator. Torture was abolished under British rule in 1813. The peaceful tranquility of public gardens can be found in several locations in Malta. Wandering amongst flowers, shrubs and trees is always a pleasant pastime. Enjoyable hours can be whiled away in the San Anton Gardens. Gardens graced by a pond, together with some wildlife to observe, maintains interest and chases away any advent to lethargy. The National Museum of Fine Arts was amongst the first buildings erected in Valletta, headquarters of Commanders-in-Chief Mediterranean Fleet, and restored in 1974. Many items displayed are connected with the Order of St. John. The collection includes paintings by De Michelino, Vicentino, Scorel, Valentin, René, Prete, Favre and others, with notable sculptors by Gaffa and Scortino. There is also an interesting display of silverware. Takale provides local crafts, amongst which feature glassmaking, weaving, pottery and the fine work of this filigree jewellery silversmith. In AD 60, St. Paul the Apostle, under arrest and escort, was shipwrecked. He lived for 3 months in a cave outside the old Roman town of Melité, Rabat. From here, St. Paul's Grotto, early Christianity was established in Malta. The ferry to Gozo, Malta's sister island of 725 square kilometres and 26,000 inhabitants, is expectantly awaited by the embarkation queue. Magar Harbour, artificially constructed during the 1960s, is the seaward entrance to this island of Calypso, the beautiful goddess who inveigled Ulysses into staying with her for 7 long years. It isn't difficult to imagine why. Tarpino, a small country chapel, survived from the 16th century, dedicated to Our Lady of the Assumption. On the 22nd of June 1883, Carmela Grima, a peasant woman, heard the voice of Mary, the mother of Jesus, speaking to her. There followed miracles, and Gozo escaped the decimating plague the year after. Tarpino Sanctuary is built in Romanesque style, being completed and consecrated in 1931. It is probably the most popular Marian sanctuary in the Maltese Islands. The inland sea at Dwyer, Gozitans called it Ilkara, is a sea-filled dissolution basin surrounded partly by high cliffs and a pebbly beach. The sea flows through a natural tunnel under the cliffs, accessible to small boats to a blue Mediterranean outside. Careful observation reveals the face in the cliff. Magenta coral-like formations adhere to the waterline on the cliffs above the inordinately natural blue of the sea. Gozitans are a frugal, tough people, tempered through centuries of life by hardships. Gozo owes its charms to the people's persistently unhurried pace of life.
Terrified of animals that I am, but you've eaten the bread, you've eaten the banana, you haven't taken any fingers of mine, have you? You're a lovely creature, aren't you, eh? You're a beautiful creature, you are. You're a beautiful creature. And at least your governor, at least your governor is keeping you in the shade.
$3.50 they say. And that one? It's three. I'll have that. Doing it for 53 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
53. Where is this?
It's no effort.
This is a collar.
A collar. How long does it take you to do that?
This, 10 hours.
10 hours. Do one service.
No parking tickets here for this galloping, racing equipage. Explorers, even some adventurers, take a break enjoying an opportunity for chatting about the day's experiences. As the sea pounds the shore, God said, "Let the waters be gathered together. Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. He created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind."